Hey, what's up you guys? Brandasauresrex here coming at you with another NECA figures review. So today we are going to be looking at the NECA 1954 Godzilla figure. And there's a particular reason why I'm doing it today. Today is actually, for all of you who do not know, and why would you not know and be watching this video, but today is the 61st anniversary of the first Godzilla movie. Or as we know it as my birthday here at my house. So it was the day I was born. So yeah, so I just decided, I've had this figure sitting around for a while, been kind of heads or tails on if I should review it, because the other two NECA figures reviews that I've done did not go too well for me in terms of likes and dislikes. Between me and you guys, we had a very varying difference of opinions, but let's move on from that and let's judge this figure on its own merits, and let's see if it stacks up to my very high standards. Because boy, do you guys think I have high standards. So I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I do not have the box for this figure. So what I'm going to do right now is put a photo up right here of the box. So hopefully that worked out perfectly enough that the photo is there now. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I have tweaked the coloring enough that this doesn't look like it's black and white. I promise you that there is color in here. Just to prove it, here's my nubby little finger. So this figure is actually painted in a sort of gray scale, and I'll let it rotate just for a quick second so you guys can see it. I think this is so freaking cool. I think NECA has gone above and beyond any kind of like detailing aspect, because the movie was in black and white and there was no real color to Godzilla. It was just what you saw in the grayscale. So this is kind of what you get. It's not like they, tried to make it look like it's in color. I love the idea that they did it in gray. It works so perfectly. I love it so much. Let's stop right there for a brief second, and I'm gonna fix the camera and zoom into his mouth, because there's some details in there that will prove that this figure is painted in a gray kind of scale. So this is about as close as I can get to the mouth without my camera freaking the hell out. So I just wanted to show this off just a little bit. Just at first, if you look at the mouth carefully, you could see that the teeth are painted gray, and so is the tongue. It's very, very, very beautiful. I love the attention to detail that they went through. If you look carefully at his tongue, you can see that they went through the effort of texturing the tongue because it is so flat. And the teeth just look absolutely amazing. Vicious and ferocious and scary. I love the long teeth that stick out on the sides, like his canine teeth, that they're longer than the rest of them. So they stand out, especially when you close his mouth. You could see how it stands out and just looks so creepy and awesome. It looks very reminiscent of the 55 suit. And I gotta say it, NECA has done an amazing job with the likeness. So I pulled out the arms just for a second, just so that it's winged out and it won't be in the way of what I'm going to try to show you guys, and that there is some amazing detailing going on right here. It's very hard to pick up on camera because of how dark this figure is. It's really just black, charcoal gray with some blue texture tones on top of it, which I do love. If you kind of look up here, you could kind of see the blue. But right here, there's a slight bit of blue paint right here that makes this kind of point right here stand out just a little bit more comparing to the rest of the figure, which I like, because that is also the way Godzilla was kind of molded, with this kind of point and then the two flaps on the side, which I do like. Moving down to the knees, you can see that Godzilla needs some cocoa butter, bro. These knees look ashy. So so looking at them, you can see the knee. It is very large and present, and actually here on the legs you can actually see the blue on my camera a bit more. From what I can see through the camera, it looks very blue. So I'm hoping the blue is being brought to you guys, and I hope you guys can see it perfectly. The knees look really large. That's one thing I'm not particularly fond of. I I know the 54 suit had like these really large, like this is the knee, this is the hand, this is the elbow, this is the head, you know, it was very large. And you know, the feet were large. So I understand that the knees need to be large as well so to make it all balanced. And, but it just looks a little weird. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Just personal preference, the knees just look a little weird. And then when we get into articulation, I'll explain why I feel like the knees are a little weird, and it has something to do with the where the line is, but I'll explain that later. Okay, so moving down to the feet, we can see that the feet are huge. These are some big Godzilla feet. They're cool. They look great, and they're actually textured on the bottom. If I believe, yeah, they're slightly textured on the bottom. But yeah, they're huge and large. And again, I don't know if I like this detail too much. It's more personal preference. To me, another thing that I don't like is that the foot looks rather flat when it's on the floor. From what I remember from the movie, I haven't seen it in a very long time, but the toes were slightly higher. Like there was more padding on the bottom, almost like a bear or a lion, where the nails kind of sunk out to the floor. But that, I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong about that because I haven't seen the movie in many years. But so one thing I want to mention about this figure is that it's actually quite big. I don't know exactly why it's so large. I think it has to do with the American translation of Godzilla, where they say that he is 400 feet when he's really not. He's really about 50 meters, comparing to, you know, I guess they wanted to hype up Godzilla in America so people would be really scared of a 400-foot monster, when in actuality he's really just about 50 meters, which is basically the same size as the Millennium. So moving on, I just wanted to talk about the dorsal plates and why is it that they're so small when it comes down to the tail. Everything here I am happy with. The tail, it's so small, it just kind of bothers me. It ruins the flow, and I understand that like it comes up and then it slowly starts to kilter down, and you see it get smaller and smaller and smaller until there's nothing left. But right here, it's just like, this seems like a drastic difference. These should have been maybe slightly bigger. That's my one complaint. And the other complaint I have has to do with the end of the tail and why they didn't, instead of just sculpting individuals, they just went and made like these weird jagged bumps that just connect from like here to here. I find that very weird. I'll try to zoom in and get a close-up shot while I'm talking about this so you understand what I'm talking about. And one small gripe that I have with this figure, because I don't have too many on this figure, the one I do have is the sloppy paint. And I know that you're basically paying $20 for a pretty good figure, and NECA really does deliver for the most part. I love some of their other figures, but with the Godzillas, there's always this sloppy paint. And I had to go through a few of these. I've seen a few of these, and they're just sloppily painted, especially around right here. There's always slop, and I didn't know this at the time because the way the figure is packaged, it's this way. So this side looks very nice, as you can see. So I thought this figure would be great, but when I pulled it out of the packaging, on the opposite side, there's a little bit of paint splatter that shouldn't be right there, that's there. And when you move down to the bottom plates, they're not fully painted, as you can see here. That's not painted whatsoever. Like literally, it's just the tip, and then everything else is just black. And then the same thing here, this is not painted down there. And then also moving to the head, I'll just kind of twist it. These rows right here, there's a row right here and then a row around here, they're not painted. You can see that they tipped it with some blue paint, but the grayish paint is not there whatsoever. And I do want to remind everybody that this video is in color. I feel like it looks so black and white. And also, if I could get this in some kind of focus. And also the eyes are painted slightly off from each other. This is nothing I'm not used to, whether it's from the sh.Stars line or the NECA line. It's very hard to do eyes, and we have to give them credit for at least trying, because this doesn't look half bad, but if you stare at it from straight on, you could see the problem. There you go. You can see that this eye is a lot lower than this one. But at the end of the day, who cares? When you look at Godzilla, for the most part, it's going to be this way. Or this way. You're not really going to be looking at Godzilla from these kind of angles. So let's go over articulation, because that's something that's very important. Starting at the head, his head can rotate at the top joint with a ball joint. It is fairly loose, as you can see. His mouth does open and close, which is very, very important to a Godzilla figure. He rotates at the neck. Whoa. Rotates at the neck 360 degrees. Sorry, my hand is taking all the light. He can rotate 360 degrees at the neck. So moving down to the torso, he can lean forward about that far, but you can see that it creates a gap within the sculpting, and it looks a little odd. He can move up about that far, which is pretty cool. And because these dorsal plates are rubber, you don't have to worry about them thrashing into each other too much. So you can see that these will thrash into each other, kind of just move the other one out of the way. So it's pretty cool. And also he can rotate, so as you can see here too. Rotating. But just be worried, this will get loose. Mine is loose, and I have to like push it back as far as it can go for it to stay. And then moving on to the arms. His arm can rotate about this high. The light is bending. Back about that far. Up about there, which is pretty cool. He bends at one point at the elbow. Pretty cool. It's a great range of motion. You get him to touch his own cheek or point out all the way. I would be very careful with this because it feels like this could possibly break in here. I've seen it happen with many of their, I want to say their Pacific Rim figures, and some of their Devil May Cry figures too. Their Dantes have been breaking like that too. So just be very careful with this joint right here. And then also his wrist does rotate. Pretty cool. It does have a hinge in there, as you can see. And the fingers are articulated, which this time I actually like. I like the way it looks as a fist, and also open. I think it looks really cool. So moving down to the legs, Godzilla can kick up about that high, and you can also see some paint scuffage right here. The paint is completely gone. And he can also bend at the knee. This is going to take some time, so I apologize. His knee is very hard to bend. There we go. It bends about that far. Not too far. There's about 2 clicks and it's done. But it's very hard to maneuver. And also, at the bottom of the foot, he has a slight bit of pivot in any which direction besides going away from the body. So moving on to the tail, Godzilla has 3 points, 1, 2, and 3, and then the rest of this is basically a bendy wire. So these are segments along here where you can move with a ball peg, and then the final bit is just a bendy wire, which Lord knows I hate bendy wire. And I've explained it before, but basically bendy wire breaks over time if you use it too much. So my suggestion is just be really careful with how you're posing your figure. Make sure the tail is just left alone. So I said it before, and I'll state it again just to remind you guys that this figure is very tall. It's very tall for the 54 design. For me, my preference is that he's smaller, but he does fit in scale with most of your SH Monster Arts figures and most of your Revoltech figures. So what I'm going to do is just do a little slideshow of him beside some Revoltech and some SH Monster Arts figures, so you can get an idea of where he scales in for you. So to wrap up my review and my final thoughts about this Godzilla, I gotta say it, NECA has really and truly honestly stepped up their game in the Godzilla line, and I hope and I pray that we will see more Godzilla figures in this fashion. I hope that they completely drop their 90s Godzilla and their 85 Godzilla, and they go with this kind of style, this very, very amazing sculpting, the attention to detail, and basically everything that you would want in a Godzilla. Basically a cheaper SH Monster Arts figure. And I hope that they continue to make more of these in this fashion, to be honest with you. It is not an SH Monster Arts, it's not SH Monster Arts quality, but it's pretty close. This is as close as you're going to get for the $20 price range for a Godzilla figure. That's just as simple as I can say it. So I highly do approve of this figure. Go get this figure and support this line so they will continue to make bomb figures like this one. This one is amazing. So, at a scale out of 10 to 10 Godzillas, I give this a 9. No, I would give it an 8. I think a solid 8 is perfect because of the paint slop. I think that that is something that should be worked on by NECA. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this amazing review brought to you by me, Brandasauresrex, and also because of Godzilla's birthday. So happy birthday to you, Godzilla. You are getting old. And I can't wait for the new movie. So much kaiju stuff that's coming out. But yeah, so let's stop talking. So I'll see you guys next time in another video. Oh wait. So make sure before you go to check out the a.c.b.a. Facebook fan page down in the doobly-doo below. And that'll be awesome if you do that. The more clicks, the more they like me. So go click away. And also, make sure to check out a.c.b.a. Saturday. I will be doing a Minuteman review for the new Godzilla 64 Emergence of Godzilla figure. That'll be also there, and a full review will be on my channel. So hopefully I can get this all sorted out on the same days. So, I'll see you guys next time with another review for the 64 Godzilla, and I'll see you guys next time. So, peace out.
That's crispy.